Hey guys, it's me, Saren, back with another video. As you guys can see, I'm in front of a white wall. I'm actually filming in my alternate space. There was some really nice light today, and I have the window open, and I just wanted to get some fresh air, so I decided, which you guys might hear some birds chirping, so I decided to film over here today. I think I'm just gonna like alternate in between my white wall, and the space gray wall in my room because I don't know, I think it'll be nice to just sort of have that little bit of variety now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one in front of my white wall. But I wanted to talk about a new word that I learned recently. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you probably saw some posts that I put in stories. And I might make a regular post too about some new words that I've learned since being in lockdown. I also wanted to bring up that I've been considering starting a newsletter. I don't know if it'll be like just during lockdown quarantine or if I'll like keep it going long term, but just like things that I've read and new words that I've learned, and I'll probably include like links to videos and like things that I'm working on, because a lot of you guys don't have Instagram or you don't have Tumblr or you don't have, I feel like it would be kind of nice to like consolidate all the things that I'm sort of reading and watching and learning, because a lot of you guys are really curious about some of the things that I mentioned in videos, like when I brought up the Dressing for the Surveillance Age article, for example. A lot of you guys wanted to know more about it. Some of you asked me to drop links in Discord, but not everyone's on Discord, you know, so I might do a newsletter. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know in the comments. But I've been learning a lot of new words, and one of the new words that I learned, shout out to Davey, was Lachesism. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Lachesism. So Lachesism is a fairly new word. It's actually not considered a real word as of yet. I'm just going to read you guys a little bit about the definition and etymology of the word. So Lachesism is described as longing for the clarity of disaster, according to the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. It's also defined as the desire to be struck by disaster, to survive a plane crash, to lose everything in a fire, to plunge over a waterfall, etc., which would put a kink in the smooth arc of your life and forge it into something hardened and flexible and sharp, not just a stiff, prefabricated beam that barely covers the gap between one end of your life and the other. Intense. In terms of the etymology of the word, it comes from the Greek word lachesis, meaning the disposer of lots. Lachesis is the name of the second of the three fates in ancient Greek mythology. Clothed in white, Lachesis is the measurer of the thread woven by Clotho's spindle, the apportioner who decided how much time for life was to be allowed for each person or being. She measured the thread of life with her rod. Apparently, this word is being credited to John Koenig as of 2016, so it's only been around for like roughly 4 or 5 years. And this word is being used for, so I first, and what I'm reading right now, the word was sort of first seen as a description of preppers. Preppers, you guys know I've read a lot about preppers. I know I've talked a lot about preppers on this channel. Preppers are people that are prepping, they are preparing for disaster. So there's tons of these type of channels on YouTube. There's tons of these type of like prepper blogs, people that know all about, you know, stockpiling on goods and, you know, building fucking underground shelters underneath your house, and, you know, learning how to shoot with a bow and arrow, you know, learning how to make a shelter outside, learning how to, you know, grow your own food and vegetables could be considered prepping, which you guys know I've gotten really into sustainability and urban agriculture. And a lot of that was because I did get into prepping and wanting to be prepared. And a lot of people that also got into this because of being, you know, sort of afraid of end of the world type of scenarios. And now we kind of find ourselves in the midst of this pandemic, and especially a lockdown and a quarantine, where you have a lot of people that are sort of sitting back and kind of wagging their fingers at others, like in this sort of Lachesism sense. I don't want to say that I feel like people are enjoying COVID-19, but I kind of feel like there's some people that are enjoying the shit. So we were having a conversation in Discord about COVID-19, and a statement was made. The amount of callousness and lack of empathy that people are displaying right now is wild. And I said to this person, I kind of feel like people are enjoying the panic now. Is there a word for that? Like Stockholm syndrome, which is when you identify with your captor, like when you've been kidnapped, or Munchausen syndrome, when you make up being sick for attention. And Davy Jones Locker said maybe Lachesism, which is sort of longing for the clarity of disaster. And then I said, this is like some Ozymandias Watchmen shit. You want a large-scale disaster to happen to prove a point. As a lot of you guys know, I reviewed Watchmen here on the channel, and part of what Ozymandias did was engineer a large-scale disaster under the guise of, I want to unite all of humanity together, in order to fight against this, one cause before humans fucking destroy each other with like nuclear bombs and shit. So he like made up this fake alien squid attack, killed millions of people, traumatized millions of people with this basically this fake shit, because he wanted, the sort of the clarity that would come after disaster. Like I need people to understand that, this large scale disaster is what's the most important thing, and people need to like figure out their lives sort of in the shadow of this disaster. And I kind of feel like a lot of people are getting off on this COVID-19 shit. I feel like a lot of people are getting off on fear-mongering. I feel like a lot of people are getting off on spreading conspiracy theories. I feel like a lot of people are getting off on guilt-tripping people, shaming people. I'm sure we've all seen this post circulating around on social media that's like, if you don't end the lockdown with, a new hustle, some money, new skills, you didn't lack time, you lack discipline. Why are you up on a fucking soapbox lecturing people about fucking discipline during a fucking pandemic? Like, this is a very traumatic time for a lot of people. Like, if people want to motherfucking lay in their bed and fucking cry, they are allowed to lay in their bed and cry. Like, this hustle, grind, you don't like discipline, you need to be doing this, that, and the third. I feel like all of this stuff is coming from this same place. I also read this other article recently on Wired that was called, "This is not the apocalypse you were looking for. Pop culture has been inundated with catastrophe porn for decades. None of it has prepared us for our new reality." And I like that they use the term catastrophe porn and disaster porn, because I also feel like, again, I don't know, I know I've said this before, I don't know if it's the social media, I don't know if it's the internet, that is really allowing us to blur the lines between entertainment and reality, real life, which I said several times while we were watching Contagion for the live stream. But people have got off on disaster porn, on catastrophe porn in film. I've watched all those catastrophe movies and shows. I watched The Walking Dead. I watched Resident Evil. I've watched 2012. I watched Contagion. Like, that's one of my favorite movies. But I feel like people are really confused about reality versus entertainment. And just like how I previously, years ago now, made a video on like police brutality is not torture porn. Like, this is not fake. Like, this is not entertainment. Like, you constantly replaying on a loop somebody getting their fucking head cut off, or somebody getting shot in the back by police while running away, Walter Scott, or somebody, their body laid out in the street for hours, posting these, pictures and videos and circulating them around, Mike Brown. People get off on that shit. People are I don't know, like the desensitized, like, people really are getting off on that shit. They're getting hard for that shit. They're getting their rocks off for that shit. Their pussies are getting wet for that shit. And when it was the police brutality, torture porn, now I kind of feel like we're in the COVID-19 catastrophe porn, disaster porn of just people just sort of mindlessly, they're not even fact checking. They're not even making sure the information that they're spreading around is real, legit, spreading, again, conspiracies, fear mongering, really fanning the flames for entertainment, or to sort of get up on this high horse, on this pedestal with this concept of Lachesism, like, this needs to be the event that causes you to get your life in order type shit. Like, they wanted this type of thing to happen, and now they're enjoying it. The people that went out hoarding food, hoarding fucking toilet paper, hoarding water, hoarding supplies, that now get to be like, well, I'm good. My closet is supplied for motherfucking 16,000 million weeks. I don't care about you. I don't care about the poor person. I read recently that only 29% of the American workforce has the ability to work from home. Only 29% of the American workforce has a job where they can work from home. So that means 71% of the American workforce has a job where they can't work from home. They have a job where they're considered essential workers, that they have to continue working. you know, they're working in healthcare, they're working in home care, you know, working for senior citizens, they're working retail jobs, you know, in grocery stores, you know, all these things. And yet you have like so many people that are privileged enough to work from home, that are privileged enough to have internet access where they can work from home, you know, work remotely, that are privileged enough to have internet access where they can go to school remotely, that they're not in some type of major that requires them to be in school, be in a lab. They're privileged enough to be in a good home environment where they have a home, you know, to go to. They're not homeless. I don't know if we're going to discuss this before or after this video goes up, but I'm definitely going to talk probably in this Thursday's live about how, just like I said in my Keep Calm and Wash Your Hands rant video fucking 3 weeks ago, I said, you know, this shit is going to hit Black Americans the hardest. Here we are 3 weeks later, the data's coming in. Black Americans are being hit the hardest. Black Americans by far are the poorest. Black Americans by far are the most likely to be homeless. Black Americans by far are the most likely to be unemployed or underemployed or working a low-income minimum wage job. Black Americans by far are the ones, you know, to be living all up under each other in apartments and in roommate situations or in public housing, you know, where we can't social distance. Black Americans by far are the most likely to use public transportation. And the numbers are actually coming out that's saying that Black Americans by far are the ones that are, you know, dying from COVID-19 for a laundry list of infrastructural, institutional reasons that go back to the infrastructural and the institutionalized racism in this country that keeps us on the bottom. And yet you have people that are sitting back wagging their fingers, you know, like, well, y'all did something wrong. You need to like learn from this. You need to like get some clarity from this disaster, putting all the onus of responsibility on people that are going through a traumatic event, you know? And I do think that people are looking at it like it's some type of catastrophe porn, trauma porn, disaster porn. And it's disgusting. I'm so sickened. I hope that this word Lachesism gets around. And I actually want to read you guys a little bit from this Wired article. This is not the apocalypse you were looking for. We've been obsessed with the idea of everything for a very, very long time. Lately, it's been our default popular entertainment. Raised with the threat of global warming in the teeth of a financial crisis, we sat stunned and exhausted, watching our civilization die on screen again and again. More post-apocalyptic entertainment has come out in the beginning of this century than in the entirety of the last one. The Day After Tomorrow, great movie on global warming, that when the movie came out, people panned the shit because they said it was unrealistic. Zombieland, The Walking Dead, The Road, Children of Men, I know that's my movie, The Last of Us. The same story again and again, somewhere between wish fulfillment, like people want this shit to happen. They want it to happen. And trauma rehearsal, getting us used to the idea that the future was canceled, that someday soon everything would collapse and there would be nothing left and nothing we could do about it. You can hear the same gleeful anticipation, you see this like glee, in the rhetoric of dark green eco-fundamentalist groups, which right now are outpacing religious extremists in their rush to claim the coronavirus as nature's revenge on humanity. And let's talk about that for a little bit. The people that are like, oh, this is punishment for pollution and, you know, everything's cleaned up. It is true that, like, the sky in LA, like, the smog has lifted and, like, the air quality in China is better and that, like, the water pollution and, like, the Venice canals have cleared up. However, acting like, again, like, gleeful rhetoric. I really like that. You can hear the same gleeful anticipation in the rhetoric of dark green eco-fundamentalist groups. It reminded me of The Happening, right? Which we all made fun of, M. Night Shyamalan, where the plants literally started causing humans to kill themselves, right? But to have a truly gleeful anticipation of like, yeah, COVID-19 gonna wipe us out. Please realize that when you talk all this talk, you're talking about the death of poor people, of Black Americans, of marginalized groups that do not have the luxury to stay home and talk about this shit on the keypad about how amazing and wonderful it is. It's real sick. If you are really so keen to be punished, there are websites for that. If you find yourself eager to see the whole species punished, that's not a fetish, that's fascism. Shit hits the fan escapism never predicted this. How inconvenient that when this world-inverting crisis finally showed up, we weren't given an enemy we could fight with our hands. Wash your hands. That's literally what it says. Obviously, I'm going to include a link to this piece in the description box so you guys can read it. It's really good. I really enjoyed and appreciated that this author ultimately sort of broke down this Lachesism, this gleeful rhetoric, this, anticipation of what's, again, going to end up hurting Black Americans, the poor, the disabled, the elderly, those that are already sick, those that are already immune compromised, the people that are sort of already, the people that can't pay their fucking rent, the poor people, the people that are already the underbelly of late stage capitalism and the underbelly of our society, people getting this joy out of seeing people get crushed, and not just the actual physical deaths, but the people that will never come back, as I've talked about in other videos, the Black-owned businesses that will never return, the small businesses, the women-owned businesses, people that will not be able to afford their rent and will end up on the street, the people that are already on the street where they cannot social distance, right, because they're fucking homeless, that are gonna die, it's weird to look at this and get some type of glee out of it, out of the situation, again, out of spreading the conspiracies, out of the fear-mongering, out of the, the refusing to actually do your research and follow what you should be doing. Let me be the one to tell you, if you lay in bed all day for the entirety of this lockdown crying, you are well within your rights to do that. It's perfectly fine. If you do decide to take this time to get some side hustles going, or, to learn some new things, or to read, or to pick up a new hobby, that's fine. If you decide to sit on your ass on the couch, stuff in your face, and binge watching motherfucking TV and movies, that's fine. Whatever you want to do is fine. And you don't deserve, unless you're white, anything bad that's coming towards you, especially as a Black American, as a poor person, as an elderly person, as a sick person, as an immune compromised person, as, no, you don't. And this Lachesism, this seeking clarity, in the face of disaster, and not just seeking clarity, but actively hoping for a disaster to occur and feeling like you're getting off on this shit, this trauma porn, disaster porn, fuck you. And I bust shots, don't duck if it don't apply. If I'm not talking to you, I'm not talking to you. If it sounds like I'm talking to you, then I motherfucking am. Lachesism, disaster porn, trauma porn. Wanted to make this video. There will be links and information in the description box. Let me know what you guys think about a newsletter. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.